Hello and welcome to Dean Park. We start the new year with a review of a very important new release from Hornby. So sit back, relax and enjoy. The APT was one of the flagship announcements in Hornby's centenary range for 2020. Now in early 2022, we finally have our hands on the full sets. Is it a worthy successor to the original Hornby APT dating back from the 1980s? And does this new model give us the level of advanced technology that we expect in our models, level of fit and finish, and overall value for money? Or will it, like the real thing, end up forgotten and covered up in a siding? Stay tuned to find out. Being my first new review of 2022, I've decided to reintroduce an old feature, and that is the rating or the point system that I used in my reviews many years ago. What I'll do is I'll look at certain aspects of a model and I'll mark it out of 5, and then that'll give you an overall score at the end. And that might help you when weighing up whether to invest in a particular model or not. I'll still be doing my avoid it, consider it, shortlist it, or just go ahead and buy it rating. However, I felt the point system was an interesting and novel reintroduction. I'm really keen to hear your thoughts on this model from what I'm about to say in this review, and if you've got the model yourself, what do you think of it? Has it lived up to your expectations and the hype? If you like the video, please click on the like icon and please subscribe to the channel. The icon at the bottom right hand side of the screen will give you access to all my previous uploads from the Dean Park channel. In the meantime, enjoy the video. It comes in quite a colossal box for the 7-car pack, and it's decorated with Hornby's usual impressive artwork. The insides are mainly cardboard and recyclable, including the new kind of eggshell containers that the model sits in. So let's get it out and have a look. Okay, I've got the first DTS out of the box, and the number of this one is 370002 and the other DTS is 001 to give a full matching set. First impressions, it feels robust enough, it's very light, the detail is pretty good, bit of a join line there on the nose cone, the livery looks correct, don't think I've got any issues there. Nice little touch with the destination in the windows there, we'll look at that a bit closer later on. The cab, it's got the correct blue dashboard and some representation of seating, and obviously you've got your windscreen wiper there as well. Turning underneath, you've got this hatch, I'm assuming that's for the decoder, bit of movement in that already actually, so I'll cover that a little bit in more detail later on. And there you have the articulated bogies with the wired pickups. So all in all, first impressions, quite favourable I have to say. A nice sharp livery application, a little bit overlap with the white tampo line there, but I'll look at that in a little bit more detail. And you can see the join line for the upper part of the body and the lower part just below the red stripe there. Looks to be held on with 2 screws or 3 screws, 2 at that end and 1 up here. I'll not bother taking that off. So let's have a little bit of a closer look at this particular car and some of the centre coaches, and I'll also look at the NDM, which are the centre power cars, in a lot more detail. Right, looking at the other DTS, which is the driving trailer standard, and this is 370001. First off, they've got the shade of yellow, in my eyes anyway, spot on, and I really like this black mask that it wears around its eyes. A really futuristic look. I can imagine in the late 70s and early 80s when the APT was being tested, have this hurtling through the station when you were standing on the platform must have been some awesome sight. It's just a shame obviously it didn't stay around too long for more people to be able to witness that. The cantrail stripe on the yellow area of the cab there is neatly applied, there's no wibble or wobble or squint in it, and the red and the yellow look the correct shades. There is a slight overlapping, as I said earlier, in the tampo process or the printing process for this white, but nothing you would really pick up on unless you were really, you know, really nitpicking like I am now. The same is in the case down here, just where it turns the corner. I imagine quite a difficult livery to apply to get all the lines to match up, and Hornby have done a decent job here. The shade of grey here is correct. It's certainly better than in previous Hornby efforts at greys on their intercity stock, so I really am quite impressed with that. If you watched the Hornby programme on the Yesterday channel before Christmas, you'll maybe have caught one of the episodes where it talked about the APT and how the colour matched the light grey there. It might look a little bit greeny on the camera, that's just because of the light that I've got it under, but it is, in my eyes, pretty close to the real thing. Looking at the side of the cab, thankfully we've not got a pointless cab door that opens on a silly spring. These were incorporated into the Hornby models from the early 2000s, such as your Class 50, 60 and Class 43 HST. Incidentally, the latest release from Hornby on the HST in the First Great Western livery has had its opening cab door removed, so a big plus there. It's a gimmick that we don't really need. I'd like to say that it's reduced the price, but as we all know, with recent price increases across the board, that hasn't happened. Right, I've zoomed in as far as I dare to show you the destination boards there behind the glass screen. That is a nice touch. You can read the destination, so it's really well executed from Hornby, and that's a really big step forward on the previous APT, obviously, from over 30 years ago. Looking up top, we've got this finely etched grille. Through it I can see some form of the moulding and I think some wires. You're not going to look closely in at it, but you know, it's there. It shouldn't really bother you. If it bothers you that much, you could always take the body off and see if you can paint those grey bits of plastic black so they're not so visible. Here you get a better sense of the shade of the dark grey here. There's no greeny tinge to it, which is a big plus for me. The glazing's well assembled to the model, very little prismy effect, if any. You get a slight sense of the thickness of the plastic along the bottom there, but again, depending on what angle you're looking at, depending on what you see. But I am happy with the quality of the glazing on this model. Looking at the bogies, they feel fairly lightweight and a bit flimsy, but then again they've got to tilt, so I'll let them off with that. From the photos and the running I've seen, they do actually tilt, so that's obviously one of the big characteristics from the real thing. The wheels have got wiper pickups on them. They've been blackened, there'll be copper underneath, and there are small solders there taking the wires into the cab for the lighting. The wheel sets themselves are fairly basic with no other detail on them, but they are free running and do the job. Right, looking at the articulated bogie, which joins obviously the cars together, unless it's near the power car where there's another type of coupler altogether, which I'll cover later in the video. They've gone for a kind of ball and socket design. The one from the 1980s, the APT from that era, it was quite a similar design and quite a fragile design, so the plastic eventually snapped. Hopefully this is more robust. The bogies themselves are detailed enough. They're not separately fitted parts here, that's just painted, which is okay, it does the job, and it does capture the kind of feel of that articulated bogie that was on the APT. It's certainly no match for the Rapido APT Experimental. Their bogies are a step above the Hornby offering in this area. Right, I'm going to look at the NDMs, which really were the power plant of the APT. In the 7-car pack you get 2 NDMs, one is powered, this one in front of you now, and the other one is a dummy. The roof detail on this is pretty cool. All these wires feel robust, and some nice fine etching there, and some kind of glazed skylights in the roof there. The pantograph is made from plastic, and it's along the same design vein as that on the Class 87, where it's held in place by 2 C-shaped clips at the bottom of the pantograph. This is in the kind of raised position. I've put it down. Obviously you'd have that when it was not powered. To get it into the raised position, you have to move it to the side to unclip it, apparently, and then pull it up and it should stay. Now that's as much as I can get it to raise. My other one actually goes a wee bit higher than that, to be honest. There is a wire underneath here. I don't know if that's to help hold it in the upward position or to stop it going too high. I don't know. I don't really know the purpose of that wire. I'm not really worked it out yet. I have had a bit of an issue with getting the pantograph to stay up, I have to be honest, and I know it's a shall we say, a hot topic on all the forums and on social media regarding this plastic pantograph. It is nice that they've managed to incorporate the pantograph onto the actual bogie. It's not attached to the actual casing or the body, so when the body tilts, the pantograph doesn't, just like on the real thing, because obviously the pantograph still had to make contact with the overhead wires. I would just like to see it being able to be raised a little bit more, and I have had to play about with it actually to get it to stay up at all. I've passed on my concerns to Simon down at Hornby regarding this area, and have taken that on board and passed it on to his engineers, and they may look for issues within the design, or you never know, improve it for future. But it does stay up when you get the knack, but if I move it around, will it come down again? No. See, it's quite happy staying in that position, but not any higher. Have you got the APT with this particular pantograph, or indeed have you got the earlier pantograph, which is for the 5-car set? Let me know what you found with your pantograph. Have you solved the problem of it not staying up, or have you managed to get it to be poised in a higher position? I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts, so please post those in the comment section below. I'm really impressed with this vehicle actually. It's the APTU and it's a development vehicle. This vehicle never ran in revenue service, so it really, when you buy the 7-car pack and you're going to enter it into revenue service, it becomes a 6-car pack. So I suppose that's why you need the additional coach packs that Hornby have provided. This particular coach is really well decorated inside. It's got individually fitted seats, it's got tables, workstations, control panels, which are neatly picked out with some detail as well. The control panels don't flash like that on the APT-E from Rapido, but then again, this coach isn't going to be seeing a lot of use on most people's layouts. So it's good that Hornby have gone to the trouble of giving this interior detail. This is the only coach where a hint of the capacitor is actually visible in the 7-car pack, but it is really pretty well hidden in the kind of vestibule ends of this particular coach, so I am quite pleased with that. There's been much gnashing of teeth regarding the coupling system that Hornby have employed on the APT, and it is a bit of a gitter, to use a Scottish phrase, but it does hold the 2 cars securely together. What I'll do here, I'll show you me putting them together and then trying to take them apart. Right, the best way to do it, he says, is to line it up, okay, and they kind of interlock and almost find each other like so. Alright, so as long as you've got obviously a good sight of the coupler, it does go together. To get it apart, hold the 2 cars firmly and give it a tug. Now, the first time I did that, basically the whole of the APT derailed. As I said, it is a bit of a gitter. For those of you who think this is a bit of a faff, there is a magnetic solution that's already been designed and tested by West Hill Wagon Works using their Hunt Coupling Elite system. They're available on the market now. I'll put the link in the description below. I've got some on order, they've just not arrived yet. Whilst the Hornby coupler is perfectly adequate for holding the coaches together, for those of you who wish to change the consist and the rake of the actual APT and pop in your additional coach packs, it will be a bit of a faff to keep pulling apart and putting together these Hornby couplers. So the Hunt Coupling magnetic system will be simplicity in itself. They fit into the already designed coupling system here, so you just unscrew the Hornby coupler and screw in the Hunt magnetic one. As I said, the link to that product is in the description below. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to fit a decoder to the DTS, and obviously there's 2 of these, so you require a decoder at each end of the train plus 1 in the actual motorised car in the middle. The decoder I'm going to use for this is the one that Hornby recommend actually in their leaflet that comes in with the pack, and that is the R8249. And it's smaller than I remember. I had one in my class 56 years ago, and whilst it was a good decoder, I just replaced it with an upgraded lens one. This, they assure me, fits in there. Now when I take this off, you'll notice how tight the space is. There are direct plug decoders which I'm going to use in the future, but this is the one I've got just now, so it's the one Hornby recommends, so let's see if it's going to work. Right, just don't lose those screws, they're tiny. Right, what I've got here is the compartment, and it's got the blanking chip in it, so I'm going to take that out. It's a tight fit for your fingers, so watch what you're doing. And that's the circuitry there. Right, pin 1 is at the top right hand side of the 8-pin interface there, so that is always the orange cable on a decoder, so let's line that one up. In it goes. Now, as you'll know, most 8 pins come with this harness, the wire harness. I've never really worked out why that is. Right, I'm going to put this, very thin by the way, I'm going to put that at the front end of the DTS. I think it's probably best if I put the flat side down, and then it's a case of trying to weave this wire into the nooks and the crannies in order to get it to fit. I say Hornby assure me that this will fit, and allow the cover back on. I'm fairly happy with that. Put the panel back on. Well, that's me put the APT through its paces on the complex sections of Dean Park, including crossings, turnouts, S-bends, fast and slow running, and the inclines. I'm happy to report back that it was a successful test. The APT performed well at high speed as well as slow crawling speed through the station and managed the point work without any issues at all. The weighting of the DTS cars at both ends seems sufficient. There was no derailing or any sign of instability at speed. One thing I have to report is the APT does not like inclines. Due to the centre car being powered and obviously pushing and pulling from either side, it didn't have the grunt to make it up my mild incline. Additional weight in the actual power car itself or two powered NDMs would have helped this area. However, it's disappointing that a 7-car APT couldn't make it up my gradual inclines. Whilst running characteristics were good, it has developed a rather bit of an annoying squeak. I suspect this is the pickup wipers against the back of the wheel set. I'll just have to make sure I maybe lubricate some of those with sufficient lubricant to still allow obviously an electrical signal to pass from the track to the interior LED lighting. The power plant on the APT performed well. There was a wee bit of wheel slip and wheel spin if you tried to put too much power on from a slow speed, so you've just got to maybe gradually build this APT up. It was a wee bit noisy at times, but I think this all quietened down with a little bit of running in. After all, it's only been on the layout for a couple of days now. There was no vibration or judder or shake from the actual power car itself. Hornby's motor and twin flywheel setup working well as usual. The Hornby APT livery is stunning. Hornby have now adopted the correct Intercity executive colours, such as the warm beige as opposed to the yellowy beige on previous releases of Intercity items. The model APT tilts just like the real thing and looks stunning as it snakes its way around the layout. Hornby have done a good job here, and while the tilt mechanism they've used isn't as sophisticated as that on the Rapido APTE, it still does the job. The APT is presented with an 8-pin interface. The model requires 3 decoders, which add at least another £60 to an already expensive model. Space for these decoders is extremely tight, so much so that only a small handful of decoders will actually fit, including Hornby's own 8-pin. I'd also recommend you consider it if you'd like some classic BR traction for your layout. Well, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please post all your thoughts in the comment section below. In the meantime, I'll see you in the next video. Cheers for now.